So we're in our last lesson for the scalar data types, and the last scalar data type that we're going to deal with in Python is called the none type. Our first challenge says true or false. A none type object is the same as 0, false, an empty list, right? Just a square, pair of square brackets, or an empty dictionary or an empty set, pair of curly brackets. And it's actually false, right? Those are actually a data type. False is a Boolean, 0 is an int. The square brackets are a list. The curly brackets are a dictionary. So let's go with false here and say that's true, right? The none data type is explicitly empty, right? It's saying there is nothing here, right? It's not like that's different than 0, right? Which is an actual value, or there is an empty list here, right? Those are different things. So as we move on to the second challenge, it says which of the following is not true. None type objects are often used as a placeholder for variables with values that are yet to be defined or calculated. That makes sense to me. Maybe a good way to use none is as a placeholder. Next up, none typed objects are often used where data is missing from a data set, right? Sometimes we do go out and collect data or have people self-report data and they miss a page or don't want to respond to something. It seems plausible that a none type object could be used where there's data missing. Next up, none type objects are the equivalent of null or undefined in other programming languages. I happen to know that null and undefined and null is used in SQL and Java, and undefined is used in JavaScript. So these are both true. I believe that's also spelled out in the lesson. And if it wasn't, right, certainly an opportunity to use a little bit of Google. A none type object can be considered as a value that's explicitly empty. We talked about that in our last lesson, our last challenge. Second to last, once a none type object is assigned to a variable, it cannot be changed. That seems counterintuitive. We've talked about using it as a placeholder. That is definitely going to be changed. So that doesn't quite compute with me, but let's read the last one just in case. And it says none type objects are the default return value from a function. So if we write a function and forget to put a return statement, it's going to return none, and that's actually true. So I can't say, right, this one is the incorrect answer. Once a none type object is assigned, it can't be changed. That's not true, right? In fact, you're often going to specifically use a none type object as a placeholder that is going to be changed later on in a script or program. So that's it for the second challenge when we're talking about the none type. And we've got one more challenge solution video for this unit of scalar data types. And next up, we will be moving on to the basic operators.